Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back. It is I, your host, Captain Borain. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you're new to the page, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Go follow us on Instagram at 4th and 1 Podcast. You have to put that podcast in there. Like I said, Happy New Year. It's been a great start to 2024. College football, the semifinal games were legit. So let's just jump right in and not keep you waiting. In the Rose Bowl, the first game of the college football playoff, number 1 Michigan took on number 4 Alabama, and it was an instant classic. It, in my mind, the game of the year so far. Everyone, Michigan trailed for the first time all season in the second half. They trailed by 7 with 3 minutes to go, ball on their own 25-yard line. A Michigan team that muffed a punt that led to an Alabama touchdown, that missed a field goal that would have cut the lead to 1 at the time, that missed a PAT, that muffed another punt at the end of the game that almost led to an Alabama safety. So, boy, oh boy, they shot themselves in the foot, but so did Alabama. Michigan marches 75 yards in just over 3 minutes to tie the game. And then in overtime, Blake Corum does Blake Corum things, makes a jump cut, breaks a tackle, and takes it in to go up 7. And then when Alabama has the ball on 4th and goal, Jalen Milroe gets stuffed 2 yards short. Michigan survives and advances to the national championship game. Their opponent, I will get to in just a minute, will be played in Houston, 7:30 on ESPN. Michigan finishes with 130 yards on the ground. J.J. McCarthy was excellent. He was 17 of 27 for 221, 8.2 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. However, his first pass of the game was intercepted, but the player was out of bounds. Meanwhile, Alabama ran for 172 yards. Jalen Milroe threw for 116, but Jalen Milroe also had a fumble that kept Michigan in the game. Well, Alabama didn't score on that possession. Then Michigan missed a field goal, so it was no harm, no foul, but they still could have extended the lead that would have won them the game. Sloppy game, both sides, but Michigan, the victors, and they move on to take on the Washington Huskies in another instant classic. We were tied at 21 at halftime, a high-scoring first half. Then the Huskies dominated the third quarter, scoring 10 unanswered points to go up 31-21. And then the fourth quarter was really dominated by Texas. But Washington made enough stops on the day. Quinn Ewers, there were 2 fumbles on the day, both by Texas. Washington also had a fumble on a muff punt. Texas had 2 fumbles. Their 2 running backs are backups. Their normal starter tore the ACL, was out. They lost 2 fumbles that led to 2 Washington scores that helped them go up 10 in that third quarter. And then Washington really had to survive. So Dylan Johnson, late in that game, should have been able to run out the clock, got hurt, so that stopped the clock, forced Washington to use a timeout. Texas got it back, drove all the way down to the 15-yard line, and on 4th and 11 with 1 second left, took a shot for the end zone, and it was broken up by the Washington cornerback. So Washington wins its 10th straight one-possession game, 37-31. Michael Penix was 29 of 38 for 430 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day. Quinn Ewers was 24 of 43 for 318 and 1 touchdown. Texas ran for 180 yards. Washington ran for 102. The offensive explosion that we all thought we would get, we got. Again, 2 turnovers by Texas. Bit them in the butt all year. Let teams stay in games. What comes to mind, that Kansas State game, they were up 20, then won in overtime by 3. But they had 2 turnovers on the day, and that was the difference. So Michigan will take on Washington, 7:30 next Monday. That is January 8th. ESPN in Houston. It's going to be a good one. The two teams of the 90s, Washington and Michigan, two teams that dominated parts of the 90s, are back at it in the national title. Oh, by the way, next year in week 5, we get a rematch of the national title game. Michigan goes to Husky Stadium to take on Washington. This is a Big Ten. I mean, obviously, Washington is still in Pac-12 this year, but these are two Big Ten teams next year. So SEC lost on many fronts yesterday. So I'm very excited about my Michigan Wolverines playing for a national championship. At some point, I never thought that this would happen. Let's switch over to NFL. So on Saturday, the Detroit Lions, on a controversial call, lost to the Dallas Cowboys 20-19. They scored what would have been game-tying touchdown if they had kicked the extra point, decided to go for 2 with like 20 seconds left, ran a beautiful 2-point play, and then the refs just got in the way again. The NFL referees have not been ungood this year. NFL referees need to get better. NFL referees need to be full-time. NFL needs to pay their referees for full-time hours. They need to do off-season training. They need to do simulations. They just need to be better because they messed up. Extra offensive lineman for Detroit came into the game, walked up to the referee, reported as eligible. Then they threw the ball to him, and then the ref said he did not report as eligible. There's video of this offensive lineman walking up to the referee and saying, "I'm reporting." And no light bulbs clicked on with the referee. So those refs have been downgraded and are out of the NFL playoffs. So at least they can't mess up an NFL playoff game. But then there were calls on Sunday that were just atrocious as well. Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots 27-21, locking up the last place in the division for the New England Patriots. Also, the win by Buffalo and the loss to Miami to Baltimore 56-19. This Sunday, Buffalo-Miami will play for the AFC East title. They are both in the playoffs. Well, they could be, assuming things go a certain way. But the Bills, they win the AFC East. They lose and 2 other teams win, they're out. The Dolphins they win the AFC East. They lose, I believe they are still in the playoffs. So they locked up a playoff berth already. The Kansas City Chiefs have won the AFC West for an 8th consecutive year with a 25-17 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. The Eagles, they are 1-5 in their last 6 games. They lose to Arizona 35-31. Their defense is just utter trash right now. It is almost as bad as my defense in Madden. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get a chance to clinch the NFC South because they lost on this past Sunday. They get a chance to clinch it with a win this Sunday coming up. Carolina secured the number 1 overall pick in the draft. However, the Chicago Bears own that pick because they traded up for Bryce Young. The Chicago Bears, meanwhile, won their game against the Atlanta Falcons 37-17. The Indianapolis Colts beat the Las Vegas Raiders 23-20. Why is all this important? Well, let's just look at the standings. And the standings, if we go to the playoff section, here it is. The Baltimore Ravens locked up the 1 seed with their win over the Miami Dolphins, same as the 49ers. So the 1 seeds are set. Right now in the AFC, the Dolphins are the 2 seed. If they lose, they will go all the way to, it depends on if the Browns lose or not, but they will probably go to the 6th seed. If they win, they lock up the number 2 seed. The Buffalo Bills, meanwhile, have to win, and they win the AFC East. If they lose and the Colts and the Texans win, they are out of the playoffs, but yet they could be a 10-win team. So right now it's the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, Those are all playoff teams for sure, along with the Browns, who are currently the 5 seed. The Jaguars are 7-9. The Browns are the 5th seed at 11-5. The Bills are 10-6, and then it's the Colts. The Houston Texans are the 8th seed, currently 7-9, and the Steelers are 7-9. All still have a shot to get in the playoffs. In the NFC, San Francisco locked up the 1 seed. Cowboys, with the Eagles' loss, are currently the 2 seed. They win on Sunday, they are the 2 seed. They lose and Philadelphia wins. Philadelphia is the 2 seed. Detroit is the 3 seed. And that is locked up. The Buccaneers currently sit in the 4th seed, but with they're 8-8. The Saints are also 8-8 in the 9th seed, so they can still win the division. Either way, either the Cowboys or Philadelphia is going to have to go to an NFC South. A 500 NFC South team. So that'll be interesting. The Los Angeles Rams are the 6th seed, and they locked up a playoff berth. And then the 7th seed currently belongs to the Packers, who owns a tiebreaker over Seattle and New Orleans. At 8-8 are the Packers, the Seahawks, and the Saints. The Vikings at 7-9 still technically are in the hunt, but it's going to be very hard for them to make it. So come back. I'll do this all again, review it in a later rendition of 10-Minute Sports Report later this week, and then early next week, I will let you know how it all shakes out. Because I am approaching 13 minutes, let's just review the NBA playoff standings real quick, NHL standings, and then we'll get you on out of here. So currently, the Philadelphia 76ers, they're 7-3 in their last 10. The Boston Celtics have won 6 straight. They're the hottest team in the NBA right now. They are 9-1 in their last 10 games. They are now 2.5 games ahead of the Milwaukee Bucks, who are in second, 8-2 in their last 10, and 4.5 games ahead of the 76ers. The Miami Heat the Cleveland Cavaliers are back down to the 7th seed, 8.5 games out of first, and 4.5 back of the 3 seed, and they're only a half game out of the 6 seed. Again, you want to be 6 or higher to stay away from that play-in tournament. Out west, the Denver Nuggets are 8-2 in their last 10 games. The Timberwolves are leading the Western Conference, 1.5 games ahead of the Thunder and the Nuggets. They're 7-3 in the last 10. Thunder are 8-2 in their last 10. Nuggets, Clippers are all 8-2 in their last 10. So a lot of good basketball being played right now in the Western Conference. Let's switch over to the NHL standings and get you caught up there. So out west, the Colorado Avalanche are 7-2-1, have won 2 straight, and have taken over that top spot in the Central from the Winnipeg Jets with 49 points. Winnipeg and Dallas both have 48. In the Pacific, the Vegas Golden Knights are 4-6-0 and lost their last game. They're 22-11-5, 49 points. Vancouver's 23-10-3, also with 49 points. So Vegas is currently the 2 seed in the Pacific. The Los Angeles Kings are 28-5, 45 points, 4-4-2 on a 2-game losing streak, and currently sitting at 3rd. The Kraken have been really hot. They're 7-1-2, 5-game winning streak. They are 15-14-9, 39 points. Currently are the 3rd team in the Pacific. The Anaheim Ducks are just awful. So let's look at who would make the playoffs if it ended today. Out west, it would be the Avalanche, the Winnipeg Jets, the Dallas Stars from the Central, the Canucks, the Knights, and the Kings in the Pacific. So the 2 wildcard teams would be the Predators with 41 points, the Arizona Coyotes with 40 points, and then the Kraken are sitting right there with 39 points. So the Kraken are making a run. That'll do it for today's rendition of the 10-Minute Sports Report that is going on 15 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful start to your new year. Don't forget to wash those hands, you filthy animal. I pray God blesses you. Know that God loves you. And until next time, peace out.